Hi guys, yesterday we talked about writing story blurbs as a way to help focus our ideas for fantasy writing. Okay, today we are going to focus more on setting in fantasy fiction stories. Setting can play a very important role when writing a fantasy fiction story, and you have a couple different options for settings. You can choose a setting that is in our world. For instance, my best friend could have an elf jump out of his pencil box. Then we have a fantastic creature in a real world situation. So the setting could be our world with other fantasy elements. Another option for setting is a portal to another world. For instance, my best friend's backpack could transport him to another world. Maybe he'll be transported to the elf's world and have to find his way home again. Don't worry, best friend, you can do it. A complete fantasy world is another option for fantasy settings. Okay? Maybe instead of living in our world, my best friend lives in a little bitty cottage where everyone rides pink unicorns and has sparkly teeth. I don't know. Maybe. So this would be a world that's completely fantasy, but maybe my characters are real in this case. They just live in a fantasy element. Your problem could be real life type of problem, just something that happens in a different setting. Lots of different elements. Remember, with fantasy fiction, you're going to have supernatural occurrences, possibly characters with magical powers, things with magical powers, animals with human characteristics, things with human characteristics, real people in fantastic places, fantastic creatures or characters in real situations, fantastic and realistic details. Generally in fantasy fiction, again, you're still going to have those serious themes. Let's see if we can get some inspiration from a few fantasy settings. Let's Google fantasy story settings. I'm going to go over here to Google, and I'm just going to type in fantasy story settings. And I'm going to click on images here, and let's see what different images. Lots of images pop up here, okay? Here I have a world in the clouds, a kingdom. Maybe you have kings and queens. Okay, this looks like an underground water volcano almost to me. Maybe you see something different. Okay, ooh, maybe Mars or some other sci-fi planet. Okay, ooh, here's some dragons in this one. That's pretty cool. Okay, all sorts of different elements. Wow, look at that crazy volcano in the back. That's kind of a crazy setting. Okay, here's a person with wings. I don't know what's going on in this setting. Some dinosaurs, lots, as you can see, scrolling through different settings that you could use to place your ideas in. Okay, lots and lots of different settings to choose from. Now, we've looked at a few different types of settings. If you want, you can flip through a few more of these. I'd like you to do it on your own today instead of with a partner and see if any of these bring a story to mind. Would one of your story ideas that you've already thought about fit in one of these settings, or does the setting create an idea for you for the possibility of a story? Okay, take a minute or two, pause the video if you need to, and think about this. All right, now for our writing time, I want you to choose one of the pictures that you looked at online. You go back and again Google story settings just like I did, and I want you to write a short story that happens in this setting. Again, we're not going to start with a full-blown story here. We're going to do story blurbs, okay? Maybe if you want, choose 2 pictures and write 2 short blurbs about it. Can you maybe come up with 2 different story ideas for the same setting? Take a half an hour right now and finish working on writing. Okay? Half an hour to think about 1 or 2 fantasy story settings with a couple story ideas. Okay? Time is yours.